Welcome to BehindTheMaskPresents.com. This week's Walking Dead podcast, talking about Alone. I'm Aaron, as always, with Riverman, and a special guest we have filling in for Pat. We have Dale Roy from Exploited Cinema Podcast. He's actually called in a couple of times and left some feedback. Good friend of ours, so thank you, Roy, for filling in. Say out, Dale. Shit.
Well, don't worry, that happened to me all the time in school.
Hey, Roy Dale.
Would call me Roy.
Hey, that's the price you get when you have two first names.
Yeah,
Roy Dale. Dale Roy. I'm sorry, that was horrible. But anyway, talking about Alone, it's a definite step up from last week. I'll start with that much. I think there's been a lot of feedback online calling it boring, and I do understand why it was a little slower paced, but I will say that compared to last episode, they kind of did what I think they should have did with the last one, where they took the Daryl thing, the Beth thing, and they split it up. And so I didn't mind it so much. They got their point across way quicker in this episode because of it. I mean, the only real action we got as far as any progression in the story was that Beth got kidnapped. Okay, and they told us that within 10 minutes worth of actual screen time, whereas the whole, hey, getting wasted and crying in our beer, they drug it out in 45 minutes. So just for that alone, you know, I'll give it a thumbs up so far. But what do you guys think?
It started out really cool, I thought, with Bob's flashback with him being alone, which is based, of course, off the episode title. And basically saying, you know, he was with, two groups beforehand, and then he supposedly got split up or they died. That never really came to fruition, but we could assume he really he didn't kill him off or anything, hopefully. But I don't know. This actually revolved a lot around Bob, and this episode, I think, developed his character quite a bit for me, and it actually made me really like his character. And why they couldn't do this for Daryl last week is beyond me, but Bob's on the top of my list of people I like on the show now.
Yeah, well, it took him. Go ahead.
See, I love the flashback too, and that's one thing with the new showrunner is the old one, Glenn Mazzara. He said he hated flashbacks, but I love it personally, and I thought it really illustrated just how desolate and he looks so despondent and alone. You know what I mean?
Oh, I agree.
And it sort of drove home. Sometimes you kind of forget with this show just how depressing just living on would be, but now you get a little taste of how that would be ramped up by being completely by yourself trying to go through this.
And he has a new outlook on life now, which is kind of funny because he's not all depressed because he's not alone. I mean, he has people that he actually likes and cares about supposedly, but which now he's always smiling, which is kind of funny because everybody's like, "Why are you smiling?" But
well, I mean, it's not like he got that much screen time before. I mean,
yeah.
To where we could even tell a contrast of him smiling or he was depressed. But I mean, I think what you're getting at is that he was the shining aspect of this episode, and it really was, and they did it right. I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what they. We don't usually get flashbacks, so when that was the opening scene, at first I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, wait a second, I thought this guy was with Maggie and such, and then I saw Daryl and Glenn. I'm like, oh, WTF, and okay, and then it clicked.
They paid homage to his drunkenness with drinking a bottle of NyQuil, which is great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, awesome. I saw, and I was gonna say that I didn't know. I caught it real quick, and I'm like, was that NyQuil? But
getting loaded.
By the way, he did mention in the past that he was with two different groups, and both times everyone in his group got killed off, and he was by himself again. So that's why he's so happy that he's like, it happened again, but he's, they've stuck together, and he's not the only one left.
Well, and that's the whole thing with the highlight of this episode is definitely the Bob arc, but it really didn't progress the story very much at all because it just has. Thank God they didn't drag out that mist stuff that was in the trailers. I thought the fog thing was going to go on like the entire episode. It was but a second, but yeah, the whole thing with them was I'm with Maggie and I'm with Tyrese's sister. I can't think of her name off the top of my head. Sasha. And okay, Maggie is still looking for Glenn. Stroke me, whatever. And hey, I don't want to risk you guys. And she goes off alone. And the whole episode, hey, we got to chase after her. And then they find her. Hey, I was an idiot for leaving you guys. So there was really nothing. All we got out of that was we got to learn about Bob. There's no progression whatsoever. I mean, same thing as we started. The only, active progression in the story was, like I mentioned, was that Beth got kidnapped. And Dale, I don't know. Do you read the comics? We don't.
I've read the first 23 issues, but we're well past that now.
Yeah, there's a lot of spoilers going online, and I don't really want to get too heavy on that about people that read the comics or, quote unquote, claim to read the comics, these hipsters. Because, by the way, before the show came out, how many people actually read graphic novels out there that like the show? But it's funny. You got millions and millions and millions. There's no way they all read graphic novels, but it's funny because they all suddenly do. And they could be legitimately picking them up, since the show aired and stuff. But, whatever.
Well, and I was talking to Pat the other day, and he was telling me one of the spoilers that was in the comic. It was nothing like groundbreaking, but he just told me what could happen, and I was like, oh, that would be, an awesome twist if that actually did happen. So hopefully they go off the comic book on that. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to spoil nothing of it.
Well, and I don't know anything, but all I know is people are going off online about something called the Hunters, and that sounds like the group that kidnapped Beth. And I don't know if that's who who intercepted Daryl or not. If those are the same people, I mean, maybe I missed that. But
which was also another really cool thing about this episode was with Daryl coming across the redneck bikers or whatever.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And I don't know. It seems like he just fits that mold. So I mean, I'm sure they're going to take him under his wing, and he's going to, glom onto a new group for a while until he actually finds out what they're really like.
Yeah. And that very well could happen because that's just how the show is now. It's been really predictable as of late, minus a couple episodes this season, but they couldn't keep that consistent for me. But
I wasn't expecting Beth to get snatched, though. That was surprising. And I think that is a different group. And did you notice in the back of the car there was a cross on the window?
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
A big cross, yeah.
And people have been rumbling online. I think we actually made this prediction. I'm not too sure. Somebody, I think, predicted it before I even noticed this. But there's speculation that is it Terminus? I think that it could be a setup, like it's a trap of some kind. And it is kind of fishy. But is this the Hunters everybody's talking about that I don't know anything about? Supposedly, I think the Hunters eat people.
Yeah,
I don't know what they do. So, I mean, it sucks. I can't escape the spoilers. I used to do really well about escaping them and just kind of staying offline and stuff. But it just seems lately you can't escape it. So, but I'm not as bothered with it anymore, honestly, just because
Well, honestly, they are taking some of the comic geeks get mad about that, but they are taking it in different twists than the comics. Like in the comics, as far as I know, Andrea's still alive. Daryl and Merle don't exist.
Yeah, obviously. Thank God they're not following the comics because I hate Andrea. Hated her. Did Carl die in the first issue and I not was filled in about this because I hate his guts?
No,
I want him to die.
I believe he's still alive.
It's so funny that I could have any gripes about the last few episodes and there's been no Carl whatsoever. But I really need to count my blessings. I need to be a little more grateful.
It's funny. Funny. I gripe a little bit about this episode because we haven't had Rick in a few episodes, which I'm not a huge fan of Rick, but I mean, he is the main character of the story. So
and Rick's my favorite, dude. I still like Rick, and I still think he's got the most layers to his character. And I don't know. I like his centered episodes. I just hate that Carl has to be tagged along usually most of the time. It's kind of a bummer. But I do miss him. And usually it's kind of tolerable. But like I said, that one episode of the Carl show when he was in a comatose the entire episode, that was too much. I can't deal with it. I don't have that balance there. But
I wanted to ask you guys, whose house do you think that was? Do you think that was part of the Hunters or the people that actually snatched Beth? Or
I think maybe it's the people that snatched Beth. I mean, go ahead. I don't know.
Sorry, I was going to ask you guys if do you think the people in the car actually led the zombies there to try to flush Daryl and Beth out?
Yeah, I absolutely did. And that's a funny point you made, and I wanted to mention it. Daryl is Mr. Tracker, Mr. Careful, Mr. Mr. Survivor. And why does he let himself slip by just answering the door without checking again? Usually he's grabbing his crossbow. The first time, grabbing his crossbow, opening a crack and seeing what's up. Okay, it's a stray dog. They have their little moment where they're getting relaxed and they're about to get it on the kitchen table, I think, and they hear the dog rustling with the trap again, and he just goes out like, I'll give that dog one more shot. He doesn't grab nothing. He just opens the door wide. Like, I'm like, you're an idiot. Why did he slip?
And you can see through the peephole. Obviously, it's zombies on the other side.
Yeah, why? I mean, yeah. So not even that. He didn't even go through like the normal person's precaution. He just like, there you go.
It was out of character for sure.
It was really out of character, and it was one of those things where it was a necessity to move the plot along. Like, we're gonna let him slip up.
I kind of did like when they chased him through the mortuary down below, and he had to protect himself with the tables, and
that was crazy. Why would he go down there?
Because he was trying to lead him away from Beth so she could get away.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
And like I said, I liked what they did with the Beth thing and the Daryl thing here. Like I said, they split up the episode, and I think it would have made last week's a little better. But I didn't mind it so much this time. We kind of got through all the boring stuff as far as them, opening up to each other. And I like the house setting. I like them. I don't know, just the simple stuff of them finding like the peanut butter. I think they got across the message of Daryl sort of changing better in this episode than they did in the last one, because just the whole thing of them finding the food and them noticing it was not, and there was no dust on it, and him wanting to leave most of it, and be courteous. That's all they have to do. I get it now. It's like, you don't have to give me 45 minutes of what they gave us last week. It's like they got it, across really well. And the whole scene, honestly, as much as in the past, Beth's singing scenes were really cheesy and kind of irked me. And actually, any episode where there's like a soundtrack song, it kind of irks me. It's just kumbaya, very corny. But the scene where she was playing on the piano and he wanted to keep, her singing to relax him while he laid in the coffin. Yeah, I liked the scene. Cool. I liked it.
Yeah, I really liked that scene. Like, that's a cool visual, her playing the piano and he's like chilling in the coffin.
And that scene, along with them eating, that's all we needed. I got the message. Like, we didn't need this dragged out what they gave us last week. It was totally stupid, which further just, protects my standpoint that last week was totally pointless, in my opinion. Just absolutely pointless. We didn't need it. But anyway, I thought they got it across better.
I'm with you, Aaron, that I really liked the setting of the mortuary, and the only thing I missed is, like, I thought that setting looked so cool in the graveyard that before they, where Daryl was getting away, I would have liked to seen a nice scene of the zombies wandering through the gravestones. Cool,
Night of the Living Dead 90.
Or just like reaching out of the, I guess they would have already I guess it would have been like Thriller. They would have already been out of the dirt. They wouldn't just like
that wouldn't
out of the ground. That wouldn't make sense. But
I just mean wandering around through the graveyard kind of thing.
Yeah,
a bit of mist maybe or something.
I wouldn't have minded if they would have started dancing, personally.
One thing I kind of wanted to touch on was what is up with Sasha? Like, why is she such a pussy now?
Oh, well, they pretty much made it clear. Like, you're afraid to. It's just a denial thing. It's like, you're afraid. It's.
Oh, okay, she's afraid, but she's willing to leave two of her, people that she's with that can actually protect her.
I think it's extreme. But I mean, like, it's a Class A sort of display. They said it. You're afraid to go forward because you're afraid of finding out something you don't want to find out. And I do think I mean, I know people show that kind of emotion, but on a much lesser scale. I think it's pretty extreme that she wouldn't be going. Yeah. She'd choose to just ignore her brother maybe being alive because she doesn't want to find out if he's not. That's extreme. I mean,
she hasn't showed that side of her the whole damn season.
I agree. I agree. I mean, it's one of those necessity things. But like I said, I get it. But
I see the point they were going for, and it was valid, but they just didn't get it across very well. They went a little too over the top with it.
Yeah, it was over the top. I mean, people do that every day. I mean, I know we've all probably done it, but not with situations like that. We've done it with, maybe with your job. You're afraid to face it because you're going to get bitched at by your boss for whatever. Or maybe you got a project due at school and you skip that day because you want to delay you actually giving a presentation. But dude, if your family member, if your brother or something could be dead, but there's a chance that he could be somewhere alive, and if you don't take that chance, you're never going to see him regardless. That is the most dumbest, retarded thing I've ever seen. That's dumb, but whatever.
Well, one thing, we have 3 episodes left, and this is dragging on, moving very slow, getting to Terminus, which we probably won't get to Terminus until the last episode. So
it's totally dumb.
What's going to happen? I mean, this season.
It said in the description for next week, like, some of the people wandering around. I forget how they termed it, but find a new shelter or something. So I think some of them make it there or something already.
I mean, this is just dragging. This is moving too damn.
I don't
slow.
think they're gonna all make it there at the same time though.
I don't know. Like,
Maybe the horde will probably show up right about the time they get
Yeah, exactly.
that huge horde.
Now, gosh, I don't know. I think the way these finales always go, the actual arc of the finale, the point they get across, always stretched out between 2 episodes. So that means, please, for the love of God, let them please arrive at Terminus next week.
I know.
So please. I mean, this is pretty much their last chance. And actually, there's something I want to talk about involving when you were talking about how slow the last string of episodes have been. And I'm only going to say the last 2 because I think before last week, I think we had our 2 best.
Yeah, we gave it like a 9, yeah.
Oh, the 2 best. They were super solid. I wish they were going to – I was hoping they were going to keep that momentum. But I think deep inside I knew they can't keep that momentum. It's like they have a couple of winners, and then it's like, okay, let's have a pointless episode, then a slow one. I mean, as much as I like the show, they really, really milk it. I mean, there's so many episodes that not too much happens.
After being stuck at the prison and the farm for so long, I'm kind of enjoying them milking them being split up and sort of like making us wait for them to get back together a while because you want it every episode. You want to see some of that.
Well, and what I always say every single episode is that none of these episodes would be bad in context if we had the whole season in front of us, like a Netflix original series.
Except last week.
Except last week. Last week is the only one that I still would think is bad. But even then, I would just, if I had Netflix in front of me and I watched that episode, I would have been like, well, that was kind of a waste of my 45 minutes. At least I get to move on to the next one. Whatever. Not that big of a deal, but I don't know. This talk about the episode in the last couple being kind of slow makes me want to get into our caller question, which we'll go ahead and play right now.
Hey, this is Rockula from Rockula Retrospective on YouTube. First of all, I'd like to say I really like the phone option that you guys have. I don't know anybody else that's doing that. And I just started reviewing this late in the season for episode 12 at Rockula Retrospective. So a couple of things that I've been doing is checking out everybody's reviews, and you guys have come up with some ideas that I haven't even thought of yet. First of them was, the Oscar night thing. That totally makes sense now that you've said it. And I also agree with you. Why did the girls not have hairy armpits? That's a good one. And, I agree with you, too, that this could have been a split episode. But by the way, another correction here. The Beth character is 16, and the actress is 28. But, I did a whole other take on my review of episode 12. If you go over to Rockula Retrospective and check it out, I'd really appreciate it if you guys liked it and commented. And I'm looking forward to swapping opinions with you guys on episode 13. All right, thanks, guys, and hope to see you guys soon.
Well, big shout out to Rockula Retrospective. We appreciate him for reaching out to us, and we'll go ahead and we'll link his channel down below. Thanks for the feedback overall, and I'm glad you like the phone idea, and we're hoping more and more people can jump on board with it. So, and it's a good way to get feedback. I mean, it's super easy, and, we know we're going to get a whole bunch of spam in the process, which we do. Hopefully some of it at least be entertaining soon. But somebody masturbating or something, whatever. But I want to comment on a couple of things. I know there was no direct questions there, but the whole thing about the Oscars, I think it's really, really funny. I got some more feedback. It wasn't via YouTube, but the feedback was that I sort of got it backwards. That they didn't plant that last episode as filler because they knew people wouldn't watch it for the Oscars, but it's the other way around. They think that they were actually combating the Oscars with an episode focused on their number one draw. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a theory, but
maybe they made it slow because everybody be looking at their phones to see who won each thing while they're watching The Walking Dead.
and that's a good thinker that's a good theory that I didn't consider, but that's if I would have liked the episode, that's probably what I would have come up with, but I didn't. So my theory was, they gave us this shit because of the Oscars.
Still had 12 million viewers. I mean, it's one of their lower ones, but still at 12 million.
Yeah. But last week also, marked a first for the show because last week was the very first week, and since they've been number one, that they were no longer number one. They were dethroned by the Oscars, but that was not something they were expected to, which is fair game. But what's really interesting to note is that this week's episode was down too. It got beat as well, so it's officially dethroned as the number one show. It got dethroned by some ABC show that premiered Sunday, some like really obscure ABC show that was, I don't even know what it's called. I mean, I should have that information on hand, but it's another sci-fi paranormal type show. But it's very interesting that a show like this that's well established and it's got such the rabid fan base can get knocked off the top spot by a show that honestly I've heard no hype about. And I think it just goes to show that, man, they either need to step up their game in the writing and speed it up while they're still hanging on. I mean, they can reclaim that spot. But I just think if they don't start being a little smarter with certain things, it could just be a downhill slope. And in that sense, either way, the fact that they were bumped off number one for the first time in a long time tells me, okay, maybe the peak is starting to decline. They definitely need to not milk it and end it after the 5th season.
Well, they need to. I mean, they could have done was they could have killed off every character except one each season, pretty much, just to keep us, getting to know new characters and everything and keep the show going. But now it's to the fact where I don't care about the characters anymore. I want the show to end next season because there's nothing else they can fucking do.
Well,
I don't know what you feel about that, Dale, but
I don't agree with that. I think there's lots they can still do.
Yeah, I think there's stuff they could still do, but they need to prove themselves. I do not want them to drag this out 7 seasons and have, Norman Reedus jumping some zombies on his motorcycle.
Yeah.
Jumping the old shark trick. I don't want to see it.
I see your point there.
And the thing is I've been scared about that for a while, and we've talked about it. And from day one, I think literally from the first, second season, I'm like, okay, 5 seasons max. 5 seasons is what they could do on the show. And that's kind of what typically AMC does. But this show was so massive, ratings-wise, I was scared that they were going to look at those dollar signs and find some way to milk it. And, of course, now they've recently announced the spin-off series, which I don't know if you guys are too familiar with. But it's just it's a way to keep it going and going and going. I mean, you could have it's infinite. It could never end. Be like, okay, meanwhile, here was this group going on. Because you got to imagine there could be 10,000 Ricks out there and their little posses going through their own thing. There could be 10,000 governors.
But as much as I love it, I don't think the spinoff's going to do nearly as well.
They never do.
No.
They never do. And that scares. And on one hand, it's like, well.
Are we going to have The Walking Dead Miami and The Walking Dead Hawaii?
Yeah, no, I don't. God.
One thing
CSI style.
Oh my God! If David Caruso's in one of these, I'm going to die.
One thing they could do next season, though, is take half of the season and dedicate it to the backstory of Abraham Ford and Eugene. Because I think Abraham Ford is one character that is going to be very popular with the fans, and especially the comic book fans. And I like him already. I mean, I watch 6 episodes of just him, knowing his backstory.
Bad guy, hurt people. I like him already.
I could not like son of a dick.
It's funny. What if this spinoff, if they're going, I mean, they're going to go forward with it. I mean, they're after the bucks. But if they're going to do a spinoff, then at least the only interesting thing they could do is make it about a character they're going to establish, either maybe just established or is going to establish here in the last season, whenever that is. Maybe someone like an Abraham. I mean, I think Abraham's probably going to get a little too much development at this point to where. But if we get introduced to somebody kind of cool midway through, hopefully the last season, taking that person we've kind of gotten to know, would be kind of like the whole Better Call Saul idea,
which is which is very smart because it's a killer show.
And it's well. I'm kind of against that too. I think you should leave Breaking Bad. I think you should leave Breaking Bad alone. But at least Saul Hudson is a really sweet character, and it's a character people already can relate to. And
they're having Pinkman's going to be in it too, which I don't know about that.
Well, that's just sort of these people might just be very minor, and it might be cameos. You never know. But I don't know what they're going to do. So that's the smartest thing they could do, I guess. But I don't know.
Pinkman's going to be in it.
Yeah.
The Better Call.
How are they going to work that? Didn't he meet him at the same time as?
I have no idea.
You know what? It's just going to be. Like I said, I hope they don't jump the shark with that and they ruin the legacy. But the thing is when you have a spinoff, it's kind of getting your cake and eating it too. Because if you fuck things up, pardon my French, it's like, hey, we didn't tarnish the original series. That still stands on its own. We made a spinoff, technically. You know, so you can kind of tarnish the name, but you know what I'm saying? It's like
Saved by the Bell, the college years. It's still great in its own right.
Exactly. Or like the Metallica.
Degrassi, the next generation.
There you go.
Yeah, that's a little bit more of an obscure one for our listeners, but I know it. And
Canadian, so.
yeah, or you know, it's like the Metallica Lou Reed thing. You know, you might think it's shit, but hey, I can pretend that never happened. It was all a dream, Dallas style, because it's not a real Metallica record or whatever. So I don't know. So on one hand, that kind of gives me hope that they're at least going to end the regular series at a decent time. Now, if they plan on carrying this out for 4 more years and running 2 shows going at the same time, kill me.
Yeah.
Kill me. I can't take it. I can't take the stuff online. I can't take, because I used to like it, you know, back in the day. But dude, the first couple seasons especially, River and I were super excited about it, and there was a lot of haters out there. They were like underground elitist types, like, you know, that, you know, and I know we all know
that's very popular right now in the horror
yeah
scene.
It really
the podcast
is.
Scene. That's why I'm glad you guys have the balls to like stick with what you want.
Oh yeah.
No, and well, the thing is like, at first we weren't one of the haters, and you know, there was some people out there that the kind of people that only go see underground cinema and I like that stuff too, but there's good stuff everywhere. You know, it's just a different size pool wherever you're going. But you know, at first we weren't one of those like heavy elitists. Me and River Todd here, we thought it was great that stuff like zombies could be kind of mainstream, and I thought it was awesome to go into work or go see friends and have like friend's girlfriend or wife, and we all talk about The Walking Dead. Because before that, I swear to God, it's like in high school and middle school, Todd's like the only guy you could find that was talking about zombie movies.
Yeah,
you know.
I didn't know anybody. I was a zombie freak, and I couldn't talk about them with anybody.
I was the only one wearing a Day of the Dead shirt to high school.
And yeah, so Todd River here, you can actually be one of those guys and be true to heart. Like, I was there before it was cool, because you really were, and you know, you actually got me into it. You know, I think you lent me the original Dawn of the Dead on VHS or something, but that was way back, and like I remember it was a pre-recorded tape of Motel Hell off TV or something. It was really.
Yeah.
But you know, but there's gotten to be a point now where it's gotten ridiculous, and there's just now it's tilted. Which, no offense, I mean, I think it's great that they have women fans. I think it's awesome, but now it's like not. It feels like it's 80-20 women as far as the demographic, and they are all just Daryl this, Daryl that, and if I so much as voice an opinion, or we voice an opinion on here that I think we back it up, whether or not, you know, we're right or not, we at least back up our opinion. We get flamed. You know, and like, for example, last week, all the women that liked this show were praising the episode because they got more of Daryl and kissy face, and we got all that Daryl backstory, kissy face, and I'm just like, you know, sometimes I can't have any restraint. I'm like, all right, well, what backstory are we talking about? Yeah. Like, it doesn't make any sense. But they're kind of diluted. It's a fan. I get it. I've been a fanboy of things too, where you can't really accept that something sucks, but. I don't know. I can't take it. I mean, I like the show, but I'm going to be a critic first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Prediction or not predictions? Let's go on to ratings.
Okay, ratings. But you know, we can sum up predictions real easy. I think we talked about it, and that's just that we hope they fucking get to Terminus in the next episode, and we could start whatever the arc is. And I do think those hunters exist. I think that's who grabbed Beth. I don't know who the people are that grabbed Daryl, even though they kind of fit the description of hunters. I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything about the comics.
They don't have a Cadillac though, or whatever they're driving.
The biggest thing that bugs me is I hope they left us off really well, like 3-4 episodes back with the and see, I forget names, and I'm not going to blame myself for it. I'm going to blame the show, because that's what they do when they split up the story arcs like this. What's the girl's name who was going to kill the baby? Lizzie. Okay, and that's their fault, because that's what happens when you never talk about a character and then you actually shed some light on her and it's really cool, and then you don't talk about her again for 4 more episodes. I'm gonna fucking forget the names. So fuck you guys. Unless you're Daryl and you put, you know, him on all kinds of T-shirts, I'm not gonna know who you are. But they really left me on the edge of my seat with that episode and the next episode, really wanting to see what was gonna happen next. We haven't gone back to the Lizzie thing.
I think we're going back.
Did you see the preview for next week? It almost looks like Lizzie's little sister might get munched. That's what they made it look like, anyway.
Good.
She's expendable. They're all expendable in my book, though.
Yeah, so I'm glad they're going to get to it, but I just think I think they make a big mistake with the pacing of the show, man, because they don't keep the momentum. I get it. It's the whole meanwhile on the other end of the school. But
you got about 20 different writers, too. I mean,
and they lost me. It's like they had me. They had me, and they let it go for too long. And it's stupid. But so I hope we just get a little more resolution, basically. As far as a grade, I'm going to go with the score that I have had it when I first watched the episode, and that was a solid 7, because I think we gave the last one. I think we all gave the last one a 4, and the last one it sucks.
I gave it a 3.
You did, because you wanted to, get under me, but you want to get under me. But 7. I'm going to give it a 7 because I'm just predicting that I think I liked it a little better than Utah, but I thought it was a solid episode. Yeah, it wasn't super exciting, as what you're thinking about as far as, popcorn and stuff. But I think it was executed really well, and the pace of it was well, and the scenes were divvied up really well. So at least a 7.
I would have to say, I sent you a Facebook message, I think it was Sunday night. I said it was The Walking Yawn, which was basically my comment about the episode. It was a sleazy Floyd in my book, so I would give it a 5 out of 10. There's elements of that I did like. I like the whole Bob, we were talking about the intro with Bob flashback and all that. And I do like how they developed Bob a little bit, because I actually like him now. But, and plus he kissed Sasha, which that really didn't do anything, but I don't know.
Bob Stuckey's going to get his dinky stinky.
Yeah, man. That's awesome.
I would have given this one a 5-2 had they not had the whole thing with Beth getting kidnapped. Because if it was just more of, pretty much if Beth just didn't get kidnapped and it was more of them getting more lovey-dovey, and the Bob arc, which was cool, but we didn't get anywhere with the group. Oh, then I would have called it another pointless episode, as far as nothing happened. But since they actually gave us a little progression, unlike last episode with Beth, they actually instigated a new problem, I'm going to give it a 7. Otherwise, I would have given it something like you did. But yeah, what about you, Dale?
I'm going to give it 7 pickled pig's feet.
Good one.
Somebody's. I'm just going to assume that's as good as ranking, and if that's the case, I'm glad somebody agrees with me. I
enjoyed the episode, and one other little minor point that I wanted to point out that I found interesting was the whole thing where somebody has been killing some of the zombies and then bringing them down in the mortuary and trying to make them look like they did when they're alive.
Oh, I forgot about
Something interesting about that.
That was cool, yeah.
It was very, very interesting, and I liked it. And I also liked how, I don't know, what's the first thing you do when you see a post-mortem zombie? You rip his face apart, like Daryl. I don't know. It's like, duh. I mean, I don't know. It's totally dumb. Like, hey, I'm gonna fuck up all the work this guy just did. Make him look ugly again.
Beth thinks it's beautiful. I'm gonna scratch across his face.
Yeah.
So, well, that's really cool. I'm glad I'm not alone this time. A lot of times I get lynched with my scores, but it wasn't.
And by the way, I did write down my score on a piece of paper before I.
Oh yeah, so he didn't change it like he did, Aaron.
Well, I mean, I think unless this was video cast and he actually showed it, it doesn't really mean shit. But
but honestly,
but I want to make an announcement before we do closings here, and that's that is that time of year again. We're going to do another Walking Dead giveaway, and it's actually launching. Well, at the time of this recording, it's launching at midnight, so technically on March 12th. So basically, when this goes up, it'll be live. But we're giving away one of those season 3 Fish Tank Blu-ray sets.
Oh damn! I was thinking of asking you if you were still doing that. I remember you saying that at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. We kind of had.
But now that I've been on the show, I'm not eligible.
Motherfucker.
Damn.
Motherfucker. Well, last week we gave away some cool stuff. We gave away we had interviewed Michael Rooker, and we gave away. Sorry for the Asian slip. Gave away.
Well, you are giving a Ray, but technically.
Yeah.
Or is it the DVD box set?
It's the limited edition Blu-ray box set that comes with the fish tank that's modeled after the one from the governor's home with all the heads. If you guys have seen it, and you can actually fill it with water, and it lights up, and it looks really sweet. I have one in my personal collection, and I have the zombie head from season 2, and of course, it comes with the actual season 3 Blu-ray set on the inside. It's a stellar set. It was actually, I mean, they're sold out now because all those are limited, but just like the zombie head, and it had a bigger price tag than the zombie head because there's actually more to the actual mechanics of what you get. but yeah, we got one. We acquired one as soon as they came out just for this occasion. So we want to give that to all you guys, and I don't know, because it's really badass, and especially people that have listened to us from day one. Definitely, hopefully, people like that have luck because we really, really appreciate it. But anyway, the rules for that one are going to be simple. It's just going to be a big old ballot, and you'll get one entry in the ballot by liking our page, our Facebook page. You'll get an bonus. You'll get an extra one by subscribing to this channel on YouTube, and you'll get a bonus one for following us on Twitter. Those two aren't necessary, though. Simple as it does, it'll get posted, and we'll be sure to get that out there. And we're going to be drawing the names for that the end of the week. Saturday on the 4th, that's the end of the week where the the finale aired. So,
and we will be keeping track if you do subscribe to the YouTube channel and Twitter. So,
no, all you have to do is the way this stuff works is there's widgets, giveaway widgets that do all that for you. They'll keep track of it all for you, and basically you have the proof that it's being tracked and everything's legit. So you don't get fucking screwed over. We're not. Nobody's trying to do that here. We don't have. We're not making you pay for it, for God's sakes. Yeah. For God's sakes, it's going to cost us about $50 to ship that damn thing, especially if you live in Canada. Especially if you live in fucking Canada. So
hopefully nobody overseas wins.
Which the winner of our last one, God bless her, she's awesome. She actually always supports the things we do from now on, but she lives in Canada, and I'm thinking to myself, son of a bitch, it's so much money. But we're giving this away, so don't throw stones at us. But anyway, that's it.
You guys, that's a hell of a prize for just the podcast, man.
Well, we wanted to.
You guys don't fuck around.
No, we wanted to do something that kind of lived up to last year, because I thought last year's was cool. I thought, meet Michael Rooker and stuff like that. And at the time, he was real hot. He was the center of that season, and he was nice enough to send us those 8x10s autographs, and they were sweet, and sending us T-shirts and stuff like that. It was really a blessing. And
I wanted one in the worst way, but I gave it away to you guys. So
yeah, I literally told him no. I said, no, Todd. But it's understandable, man. See, we want to keep this cool stuff for ourselves, but it's okay. It's worth it. And you know what? Norman Reedus is going to those cons like a madman. Go take it. Go get it autographed by him. We were on it. I would have done it myself, but he's not hitting the con circuit till a couple months from now, and it'd be kind of pointless to give away a season 3 box set.
Go to Wizard World in St. Louis, and you'll see us there. So come.
Yeah, we'll be at St. Louis, but Norman Reedus and these Walking Dead people, they're touring the country with these things, so it's definitely cool to say the least. That's all we got to say about that. Watch out for it. Anyway, check out BehindTheMaskPresents.com, and with or without the giveaway, you should like us on Facebook to keep up, and please subscribe to this channel to give us your feedback as well, and follow us on Twitter at BTM Presents. And I want to thank all you guys for joining, and Dale especially, thank you very much for joining. And be sure to check out Dale's pages, ExploitedCinemaPlanet.com and CanadianAssault.com.
Thanks for having me, guys. And I also wanted to say before we go
ahead.
Since I'm Canadian, on behalf of my country, good night, Pat.
All right. Thanks, guys.